So it's that time of year again. Everybody at Preston's been working really hard on a load of brand new products for the May 2024 launch. Let's go and take a look and see what we've got for this month. So first up, we have two stunning new additions to the Superior X float rod range. First of all, we've got a 14 foot or 4.2 metre power float rod. This rod's capable of casting 8 to 18 grams, meaning it's great for heavy duty river fishing or even slider fishing in Europe. Perfect when you're fishing for bigger fish like barbel and chub. The second rod is a 15 foot or 4.5 metre float rod. This is a more traditional style, 2 to 12 gram, so perfect for fishing wagglers, smaller stick floats, things like that for species like roach, dace or bonus fish like chub. These are superb rods that have a nice through action and are absolute joy to use. Duracarp feeder rods. The new Duracarp feeder rods are the perfect commercial range. We cover 9 foot, 10 foot, 11 foot and 12 foot on the feeder models. So all of the rods feature superb fish playing and casting actions. So whether you're fishing in the margins with the short 9 foot rod or to a far bank some distance out with a 12 foot model, these are going to be perfect. So starting on the 9 foot model, this is a rod that I'll be using for carp and F1 fishing up to about 20-25 meters. So if you've got a short range cast to an island or you're underarming a method feeder on a pole line, this rod's going to be absolutely perfect. More than capable of landing the biggest carp you're going to encounter on a commercial fishery. The 10 foot is a superb all-rounder. So if you're fishing up to 30 meters with a method feeder, a Banjo XR, or even bomb and pellet fishing, this rod again is going to be perfect for any size of carp or F1 you're likely to encounter. The 11 foot is a good all-round rod if you're looking to cast that little bit further into open water. So if it's going to be 40 to 45 meters and just out of range of the 10 foot rod, then the 11 foot is going to be brilliant for that. The 11 foot's a real nice all-round rod, so perfect again if you're going to be fishing for a mixture of species, including things like skimmers and bream and usual carp and F1s. Those three are all 2-piece rods. And then moving on to the 12 foot, we've actually managed to make the 12 foot a 3-piece rod. So with the way rod technology is advanced, we've now managed to get a superb action on a 3-piece 12 foot rod, which is something at this price point we haven't managed to do previously. That just makes it far easier to transport the rod around, and you've still got that superb action when you're landing big carp on this rod. So the 12 foot, I'll be casting up to around 60 meters with method feeders, Banjo XR feeders into open water, fishing for big carp. So the Dura rods have a whole host of features, including superb fish playing blanks. They've got really nice guides that are spaced nicely, the right size, correct for each rod. And the handle is really nice. So it's got some high quality features like engraving of the Dura on the butt section. We've got the nice flat section so your arm locks against it as you're playing the fish. And they come supplied with 2 quiver tips, 1 ounce and 2 ounce, which are perfect for nearly all situations. So with the Dura rod range, we're not limiting it just to feeder rods. We've got 2 brand new pellet waggler rods as well. We've got a 10 foot and an 11 foot, and they have all of the same nice new features as the feeder rod versions. So these rods have got a beautiful casting and playing action and can cast 4 to 12 gram pellet wagglers. So they're all of your popular sizes that you're going to be using on commercial fisheries. So I'll be using the 10 foot version for short casts up to about 20 meters. So when you're fishing tight to a little island that's in front of you, that rod's going to be great. If you're fishing into open water or the islands further out, then the 11 foot rod just gives you a little bit more length. It means you're going to be able to cast and pick up the line that little bit better at distance. So the Dura rod range, a range that isn't going to break the bank and is absolutely perfect for all commercial fishing. hard case rod safe. So this is the perfect carry-all for a commercial fishery angler. In one side of it you can fit 4 made up rods, so if you're fishing with 10-foot feeder rods, 11-foot pellet waggler rods, this is going to be absolutely perfect for storing up to 4 rods. You could of course store 2 or 3 rods and you've got a bit of extra space for things like landing net handles or spare sections. And then in the opposite side we've actually left enough space so you can fit a full 16-metre pole. So you can fit 3 butt sections along there, landing net handle, or if you've got a shorter pole you can fit 1 or 2 butt sections and a few top kits. So it really could be for some anglers an all-in-one hold-all which covers all of their commercial needs. As with all of our hard case products, it offers complete protection with the hard case outer shell. That's going to keep all of your gear, whether it's rods or poles inside, completely protected. There's a divider inside the hold-all which keeps the poles and the rods completely separate, so they're not going to bash against each other and scratch. So the rods themselves sit on nice EVA dividers which are in 3 positions, and then you can tighten the straps over the top of the rods, which just keeps them nice and secure and in one place, so they're not going to rattle around at all when you're carrying the bag. As of all of our hard case products, it comes with a nice shoulder strap which just makes it nice and easy to carry to your peg, as well as a durable single carry handle for getting it in and out of your vehicle or carrying it to your peg if that's how you prefer. Rig station. So the rig station is something we've worked on for a few years now to get it 100% how we wanted to get it. The design brief was to have something that you could use to store all of your rig making accessories and make it far easier to actually use them and make your rigs at home or when you're away on festivals. So once you open the rig station up, there's a whole host of features. So we've got a specific area where you can store your floats in a little box. We've got a nice area of foam where you can put the floats in them when you're actually making rigs. We've got a dedicated area for you to keep your shot and stots, a dedicated area for keeping line, and we've also got an area where you can screw the spool of line down that you're using to keep it under tension when you're making rigs. So as well as all of that fantastic storage, once you screw your line down onto the rig station, you can then use the pins provided to keep a nice tight line so that you can put your float into position, you can put your shot, there's a nice marker so you know exactly where you want to put your shot, in which position, and with your line tight it just makes the job a lot easier so you can use your little pliers and apply the shot in the correct place on the line. Another nice feature is that we've got really thin pins that you can screw into the rig station at different lengths along the measure to tie different length hook lengths. So if you're a person who likes to tie your own hook lengths, this rig station is going to be absolutely brilliant for that as well. So you can tie them on the rig station and then put them straight into your hook length box. So on the outside of the rig station there's a few nice features. It's got nice rubberized pads, so when you've got it on your desk or on the kitchen table tying up your rigs and your hook lengths, it's not going to slide about anywhere. When you put it all back together and close it up, it's got a really secure fastener, so it's not going to open up as you're moving it about, and it's got a carry handle on top, so you know when you're carrying it with that handle you're carrying it the correct way up, nothing's going to spill out at all, and you can securely take it to your car or move it around the house into a different room where you're going to store it when you're not tying your rigs. Large Dura-Slip catapults. So after the huge success of our Dura-Slip catapults that we launched last year, which were primarily for pole fishing, we thought we'd develop some much larger versions which are perfect for rod and line fishing. So we've got a much bigger frame, extremely heavy duty, so it's not going to flex at all when you're pulling the stronger elastic when you're fishing with things like 8mm pellets. So first of all we've got a medium to heavy version. So this is the white elastic. So this is perfect for fishing with 8mm pellets or similar baits up to about 25 meters. You can get superb accuracy using this pouch. If you want to fish past that distance, then you're going to be using the heavy to extra heavy version, which is this red elastic. And that one, you really can fire 8mm pellets as far as you're ever going to fire them. So if you're fishing up to about 40 meters with a pellet waggler or bombing pellet, this one's going to be superb for that. They're also good when you're feeding larger quantities of bait on the pole line. So if you're feeding things like pouchfuls of casters, when you're fishing shallow at 14 and 16 meters, these are going to be a really good option. So you can fit plenty of bait in the pouch, and with the strength of the elastic, you can get some nice accuracy at that sort of range on the pole line. So as with the other Dura-Slip catapults, it's so easy to change the elastic and the pouch on these. So you can simply unscrew the bushes out from the frame, and then the spare ones just screw straight in. So it's literally a 10-second job to change it. So if middle of the match you have a bit of a disaster and your elastic does happen to break, then as I say, it's a 10-second job to change that, which is brilliant. "13-litre bucket set." So the 13-litre bucket set is the perfect addition for any kind of commercial style angler. So you get the 13-litre bucket, you get a really nice little bowl that fits inside it, and then you also get a lid. So the bucket itself is perfect for mixing smaller quantities of ground bait. So if you're mixing 1 kilo to 2 kilo of ground bait, it's a really nice size for that. It's also great for keeping things like maggots in. So if you're keeping 3 or 4 pints of maggots, it gives them plenty of breathing room. The bowl that comes with it is, again, it's nice for mixing things like micro pellets. It's a nice big surface area for preparing baits like that. And you can also put your ground bait into this bowl to keep on your sideshow when you're actually fishing. So it's nice for that. It gives you good easy access when you're method feeder fishing, for example. So that just slots right into the bucket. And then a lovely feature of this is that it comes with this solid lid. So that just clips onto the top of the bucket, and it means that if you encounter any rain or anything during the session, your ground bait or your maggots or whatever bait you're keeping in the bucket, it's not going to get wet. "40-litre bucket." So the 40-litre bucket is perfect if you're looking to mix really big quantities of ground bait with a drill and whisk combination. So key features of this bucket are, it's got some nice measures all the way down it, so you can clearly see how much ground bait you've got. It's got 2 heavy duty carry handles, so once you've mixed your ground bait, you can easily lift the bucket and carry it to your peg. And the bucket itself is made from an incredibly durable material. This plastic's nice and robust, meaning that when you're using the drill and whisk, it's not going to damage the bucket, which can happen with some other alternatives. So great big 40-litre bucket, which is perfect if you're mixing big quantities of bait. Running line float range. So we've got 5 fantastic new running line floats to add to the range this year. These are all made from really high quality components. They're finished in a nice Preston blue, and they've got incredibly bright tips, making them easy to see whether you're fishing at short range or at long range in funny light conditions. So the first float is a dumpy balsa waggler. So this is like a Spessy style waggler, so it can be used on fast-paced swims on rivers, or can also be used as a pellet waggler style float on a commercial fishery if required. So these are made from balsa. They've got a really nice bright tip, makes them easy to see, and they're available in 5 different sizes, from a 2 AAA up to a 6 AAA. So that range of sizes is going to cover all eventualities. So the next pattern is the straight peacock waggler. It's a superb all-round float, so if you're fishing on a still water or on a river, this float's going to be ideal if you're met with kind of slower flowing conditions. So again, these are in the same size as the 2 AAA up to a 6 AAA, meaning they're perfect whether you're fishing close in on a still water, you might want to use the 2 AAA, or if you're fishing on a really deep, slow moving river, but you're fishing at distance, you might want to use something like the 6 AAA. So next one in the range is the insert peacock waggler. So these are very similar to the straight peacocks, but they've got a really nice bright insert in the top of them. So the insert peacock waggler again can be used on very slow moving rivers, but are particularly suited to still waters. So if you're fishing for silverfish or for carp in the winter on a commercial fishery at range, then these are going to be brilliant for that. Again, these are available in a 2 AAA up to a 6 AAA, so suited to all conditions. The next float in the range is the carbon bolo. So this float is brilliant for fishing in deep water conditions on rivers. It's got a nice thick plastic bristle, meaning that you can shot them nicely and you can still see them at range. Got a carbon stem, and we've actually put a little side eye on these. So this side eye means that they fish a bit like a pole float, so you don't have to have a great big piece of silicone over the tip, which is going to affect the balance of the float. So using this little side eye just means that you've got much better control. You can strike through the float nicer. And these are available from 2 grams up to 6 grams, which will cover most situations on rivers. So the final float in the range is the alloy hollow stick. It's got a nice alloy stem, which gives it loads of stability. It's got a nice little shoulder on it, and then it's actually got a hollow bristle. So this means it's incredibly bright and easy to see in low light conditions. Just like with the Bolo, we've got a nice little side eye on it for exactly the same reason. It just means that it fishes much better than having a big thick piece of silicone over the tip. So you can strike through it nice and easily, and it just fishes beautifully under the rod tip. So the alloy hollow stick is available in 5 sizes like all of the other floats in the range, and this runs from 4 number 4s up to 12 number 4s. So you've got a really nice big range of sizes in this float. Inline Olivettes. So the inline Olivettes are perfect if you're fishing with bigger pole floats or if you're fishing with the new carbon Bolo floats. They run in 12 different sizes from 0.4 of a gram up to 6 grams in all of the important increments, so you can find the perfect Olivette for the style of rig that you're making. So the inline Olivettes, as the name suggests, are inline. They've got a nice TPE sleeve through the middle, which the hole is big enough to easily thread your line through, and it's actually stiff enough that you're not going to create any tangles, but it's still soft enough that it's not going to damage your line at all. The beauty of an inline Olivette is that once you've got it set up, there's no danger of that Olivette slipping off your line, coming unattached or anything like that during the session. Swivel float adapters. So swivel float adapters are an absolute necessity when you're fishing with something like a balsa waggler or a peacock waggler, and you simply push the base of the float into the nice soft silicone of the swivel float adapter. This offers 2 benefits. Firstly, it gives the float a little bit of movement as it's attached by a little swivel at the bottom, so you're not going to get any kind of tangles or anything like that. And secondly, it means that if conditions do change on the day, you can easily remove the float and either go for a smaller or a larger version depending on what conditions you're faced with.